Premier League score predictions are back. Game week 32. Can West Ham do the unimaginable, get into the Champions League? And can West Brom survive the drop with Sam Allardyce?
Fireman Sam. Putting out fires. I'm not going to give up the data anytime soon. Before we go any further, we just want to say a quick thank you to every single one of you guys that give us your time and your effort. We appreciate every single one of you.
First things up, and it is Everton versus Tottenham. And for Everton, I really can't remember anything that noteworthy attacking wise from Everton against Brighton. It was that bad of a performance. Everton have their excuses. They are suffering from injuries at the moment. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's not available. Holgate even played in midfield, which was weird to see. But Carlo Ancelotti described it quite perfectly. It was just the effort is there. It's just the sloppiness going forward and trying to maintain the ball, which was really, really poor against Brighton. And Brighton controlled that game, so they really should have won that game with the amount of chances they created. So Everton were quite fortunate to get a point in that game. But yeah, it's just frustrating for Everton that this Champions League push has come to a limp finish at the moment. They've only won one game in 5, and they're 7 points off with a game in hand. So if they turned any of the previous couple of games around, they would have been in it.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Gary. I don't think it's a very good performance for Everton, but it's not all bad news for Toffees fans, because I have a worse report for Tottenham following their 3-1 loss to Manchester United. And it was for me, it was a result that typified Tottenham this season, which was they don't play very attacking football. So they have to rely on their defensive abilities, and defensively they've been awful this season. So it kind of doesn't make sense. They're not playing to their strengths at all. And Tottenham fans, they like to see attacking football. So it's kind of you've got two bad things there. It's one, they're trying to defend when they can't, and they're not doing the style of football which Tottenham fans want to see. So it's not looking very good for Mourinho at the moment. And just like Everton, they had a glimmer of hope for Champions League spots, but I think they've missed out now.
Yeah, I think so. Unless you can put together 3 wins in a row or something ridiculous like that, I don't see people catching West Ham or Chelsea. Who you got?
Both teams are off form at the moment. I'm going to go for kind of a drab 1-1.
Oh, I'm going Tottenham 2-1 here. I feel they'll
Can you stop?
respond.
No, stop. Stop going for Tottenham, because you're cursing them.
Why? 100-1 Tottenham.
Next up is Newcastle versus West Ham. And Newcastle, someone explain it to me, because I'm not sure. Where has this come from? Because the thing is, everything was looking shit for Newcastle. Let's be honest, they was on a winless run. They weren't performing very well. There's rumours of behind-the-scene clashes with the manager and players. And then all of a sudden, things just look a little bit more rosy. Firstly, there's rumours of the takeover deal being back on, but that's obviously off the pitch. But on the pitch, they got that draw against Tottenham, and that was a very well fought draw. It was a very good performance. And then against Burnley, they go and beat Burnley 2-1. 3 points in the bag. And, let's be honest, there was a correlation between that performance and Saint-Maximin being back. And what a goal that was, by the way. He is an absolute nightmare for defenders.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's like a wizard. He's like a wizard, Harry. He just drops the shoulder, and you don't know which way he's going to go.
Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare. And, you saw that against Burnley. The Burnley defenders didn't want to go near him. And it was a fantastic goal. And, there's a reason that, Newcastle has been so bad when he's out injured. But he's back, and he seems to be firing just in time for the all-important run-in.
For West Ham, it's just unbelievable at the moment. Everything that Jesse Lingard and West Ham touch at the moment just turns to gold. How do you describe it? I feel like every single week he scores an extra goal. That's another couple million added on to Jesse Lingard's transfer fee if he goes to West Ham. So yeah, it's crazy.
Hang on, Gary. Not just West Ham. There's been rumours today that Real Madrid are interested in Lingard.
If he goes to Real Madrid, oh my God.
Say it. I want to hear it. What are you going to do live on YouTube? What are you going to do? What?
I will eat my hat.
I'm going to buy you the world's hottest jelly baby. I'll see this on the internet, and you're going to eat that instead.
Fine. I'll take it. But he's not going to Real Madrid. But he's done so well West Ham, they really blitzed Leicester. I mean, Leicester are looking sad at the moment, but they put them to the sword, and it was a bit scary, conceding 2 after going 3-0 up. You were thinking, oh, shades of, the game against Arsenal, but they got the 3 points, and that's all that matters in this run-up.
I do respect West Ham for the fact that in the last 3 games they've gone 3-0 up, and in all 3 of them they've conceded 2 against Arsenal. They conceded the 3rd, which was unfortunate. But it's like they're still playing well, but they still want to give their fans a little bit of a heart attack. It's like we're not going to give it to you perfectly.
Yeah, enjoy the ride, basically. Score prediction. Who you got?
I've got to stick with West Ham. The form they're on, the form Lingard's on. I'm going 2-1 West Ham.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. I want West Ham to win, but I feel like Newcastle are going to grind out a result, so I'm going 2-2.
Next up is Wolverhampton Wanderers. I don't know why I said their full name, but I did. But it's Wolves versus Sheffield United. And for Wolves, 2 words for you. Smash and grab. And that is exactly what that was, because it wasn't a game of higher quality. There were not a lot of clear-cut chances created, and there wasn't a lot of kind of high-quality shots. Except, and by the way, before I move on to the goal, which I'll be looking forward to moving on to the goal. But before I do that, there's both teams. I don't think both teams created kind of really enough chances. I think 0-0 probably would have been a fair result. Would you agree with that, Gary?
Yeah, probably. They didn't really make any proper clear-cut chances, both teams, throughout the game until Traore scored.
And that was not a clear-cut chance. That was an absolutely thunderous finish. I know some people said the goalkeeper maybe should have done better, but I think it's actually quite difficult because the goalkeeper's always preparing to go across for the cross-shield shot, but he just hit that so hard. And that at an XG of 0.05, which essentially means no one was expecting that to go in. But it was an absolute fantastic finish, and as much as Wolves' performance didn't deserve the 3 points, that goal alone deserved the 3 points.
For Sheffield United, it was a bad game. I'm not gonna talk too much about it. I think Arsenal, they kind of came out, played. Sheffield United really found it difficult to keep hold of the ball against Arsenal, and spring attacks, it really wasn't happening. And it's just at key moments they switched off, and then Arsenal were able to unpick the defense and score. But it's Sheffield United they were disciplined enough to defend, but going forward it was a different story.
What's your prediction for this one?
It's too easy, so I'm going to say that Sheffield United are going to lose. So I'm going to go 2-0 Wolves.
Yeah, sorry, Blades fans, but it's just been one of those seasons for you, so I'm going 1-0 Wolves.
Next up is Arsenal versus Fulham, and for Arsenal, that was weirdly okay. There was no moment of stress. We didn't balls anything up. We didn't chuck it into our own goal, and we kept a clean sheet. That is a very weird experience for Arsenal fans this season. We welcome it. Of course, we factor in the fact that Sheffield United are bottom of the league by a long way. So
you waited a little while before you brought that up.
Still won. Clean sheet. We've got to take them. And, we played Xhaka at left back, Granit Xhaka, which is hilarious. That's like almost the equivalent of, putting your goalkeeper on free kick and penalty duty. And somehow we won 3-0 with a clean sheet. So that's kind of weird, but I'll take it.
Clearly, Gary, you've never heard of Chilavert, who is an absolute nutcase of a man. I think he was from South America, I think Paraguay. But he used to take free kicks and penalties for the national side. Absolute nutcase. And he was good at them.
Good, of course, yeah. Of course he was good. But do you dare to do that in the Premier League? I don't think so.
No. And for Fulham, it's
painful.
It's
painful.
It is because they play good football, and I think they're a team that they're kind of a team that a lot of people want to stay in the Premier League, but it's just not looking good for them. It's now 4. They've lost in a row, and against Wolves. Let's be clear. I don't think it was a match of particularly high quality. There wasn't a lot of good chances created. We touched on it when we spoke about Wolves, and the difference in that game was literally, I'd say, the one moment of quality that we saw out on the pitch. And some people blame the goalkeeper, but I just want to say that's actually really tough for him to deal with, because the thing is, when they hit it that hard and into the corner, the goalkeeper is always going to be down, like kind of in a low position, getting ready for the low shot going across him. So then to have to go up and try and get that out of the top corner is actually quite a difficult save to pull off. But it's not looking good for Fulham. Hopefully they can put together a good run. But now they have Arsenal, which is a tough game in itself, and then they have Chelsea. So it's a tough run. They really need to pull some results at the back here.
These are the fine margins of the Premier League. You've got to finish your chances, create and finish your chances, and that's it. But score prediction: do you think it's going to be a tough one against Arsenal? I don't think they can do it. But go on.
I feel like they kind of, the way they play, I think will help them against will help Arsenal. So I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, it depends. If Arsenal suffer a crushing Europa League exit, then I think Fulham will win. But I don't think
beat the racists, Gary. Beat the racists. Most people want Arsenal to win.
I'm trying. We're trying, but we will balls it up. So, but I'm going Arsenal 2-1 on this.
Next up is Manchester United versus Burnley, and if Manchester United play as well as they did in that second half against Tottenham, it is going to be a rocky road for Burnley and Sean Dyche's men. It was an absolute fantastic display from them, and to be honest with you, in the first half they didn't play that badly. To be honest with you, it wasn't exactly a bad performance by them. They did have the ball in the back of the net. It's kind of a mental goal to be disallowed. I didn't understand that one. I don't think McTominay meant in any way, shape or form to catch Son in the face. So I'm not sure why that should be disallowed. And then obviously Spurs hit them on the counter. But I'd say in the first half, if it wasn't 50-50, it's probably United that were the better team in that first half. But in that second half, Manchester United just went through the gears. Tottenham were not able to deal with them whatsoever. And it was a very, very good victory for Manchester United.
As for Burnley, I really thought after going 1-0 up, they were going to bury down the hatches and they were going to get through with it. I mean, going through ahead with Vidra, and then I really thought they could do with a second goal, of course, but I feel like Burnley are more than capable and more than comfortable with a 1-0 lead. But then Saint-Maximin just started doing this thing, just realised he was a good player in that second half and just really turned it on, and that was really unfortunate. And whilst I don't think Burnley are going to go down, they are in the thick of it at the moment, with Brighton and Newcastle, and they got to be really careful.
Yeah, 100% agree. What's your prediction for this one?
This is tough. Man United just look a bit too impressive at the moment. So I'm going 2-0 Man United.
Yeah, I'm going 4-1 Manchester United.
Next up is Leeds versus Liverpool, and Leeds. This is why so many people and us love the Premier League. How could you have predicted a result like that? I mean, 10-men Leeds against runaway champions. This Man City team is so good, so far ahead of the pack. Most of the top teams stopped competing around January, and Leeds, with their very first meaningful attack, absolutely done City with Dallas. And even they made Man City, this is the troll, they made Man City work so hard to come back to equalise, and then they counter-attacked them and done them again. So this is just a hilarious game, and Leeds fans, of course they enjoyed it. You got to enjoy these games.
If there was an award to a manager for performance of the game, like across the whole season, Bielsa would have deserved that. It was just incredible how he managed Manchester City being 10 men down and still being a threat on the counter. Absolutely ridiculous. And for Liverpool, they got that 2-1 victory over Aston Villa, and I feel like they've turned a little bit of a corner, certainly in the Premier League. And I think they needed that, because the term mentality monsters, which is what's been used for Liverpool over the last few seasons, have been thrown about, and then over the last few game weeks, they haven't been that at all. They've been quite the opposite. So it's actually quite nice for them to get back in a position, not even to perform well, which I actually think they do. I do think they played well and deserved their victory, but is the way they won it. They showed the same mentality that they've had over the last few seasons, and I think it's even nicer for Trent Alexander-Arnold, because he's been getting a lot of stick recently, and I think people forget just how young he is. And for him to get that goal and to be the kind of the lad that's kind of bring through the 3 points for them, I think was a very nice moment for him.
Score prediction. Who've you got for this one?
I'm going Liverpool 1-0.
I really don't want to bet against Leeds. I really don't. So I'm going 1-1 Leeds. Liverpool.
Next up is Chelsea versus Brighton. And we warned you. Well, we did warn you because we're talking about Chelsea. But Chelsea fans, we told you. We said after the 5-2 bollocking that they received from West Brom that they would be out for revenge. And I think they had that at the forefront of their brain against Crystal Palace. They were picturing Callum Robinson and Pereira. They were picturing them, Big Sam, and they took Crystal Palace and they absolutely pummeled them. It was an absolutely fantastic performance by Chelsea in that 4-1 victory. And I think the most impressive thing is just the amount of chances they created in that game for themselves. It was just non-stop. It was an absolutely brilliant performance.
As for Brighton, that draw, it was frustrating because Brighton created so many chances to win that game, and they really should have won that game. I just really wanted to see Basuma's bicycle kick go in because that would have been the freakiest, most amazing goal to have scored from a clearance, somehow controlled it, went straight up in the air, and he attempted that crazy bicycle kick which almost went in, and that would have been goal of the season for me. It was an important point to get. Everton are up there towards the top of the Premier League, so it's a good point to get. They're just edging ever so slightly to safety. I think 30, maybe 39 points, just to get survival and skip this season and restart it for next season, because this has been a tough old season for Brighton fans.
I have to say, I was making up awards earlier on in the video. I'm going to do it again. If there was an award for the most frustrating team in the Premier League, it would be Brighton.
I think the Brighton fans would probably vote themselves for it.
I believe they would. What's your prediction?
Chelsea look dangerous, so dangerous. So they're going to win this 2-0.
Yeah, I'm going a little bit less. So I'm going 1-0. I think Brighton will give them trouble, but I think Chelsea will get the win. Next game up is Tottenham versus Southampton, and we've already spoke about Tottenham's last game. We don't want to talk about that anymore, let's be honest. So I'm going to move on for you to talk about Southampton, Gary.
As for Southampton, that was a bad game. No two ways about it. I mean, there was no renaissance like they did against Burnley, and West Brom. They stayed with the team that was super motivated. They need to get out of relegation and survive. So. And they were super efficient. They were all over Southampton, and Southampton were really sloppy. They're crazy defensive mistakes from the keeper to Danny Ings giving it away. And yeah, this 3-0, you can't really say anything. They were thoroughly well beaten. And I feel like Southampton just need to get to the end of the season, and have a look at their manager. It's so far away from where Southampton looked like a really good Premier League team at the beginning of the season. That seems like an age ago.
What's your prediction?
I think this will be the proper bounce back game for Tottenham. So I'm going 3-0 Tottenham.
And the curse carries on.
I thought about that. Clean sheet as well.
You're brave or stupid. I know which one I know it is. I'm going for... I have not a lot of faith in Tottenham at the moment, so I'm going 2-2.
Next up is Aston Villa versus Manchester City. And for Aston Villa, I think they did well against Liverpool, going ahead, and I must have cursed Trezeguet because I cursed him for scoring. I made fun of the fact that he scored 2 goals, and then he was looking for his third, and that frustratingly hit the post. I don't know how that stayed out, but I feel if they scored that one, they would have got a result out of this one. But I feel like Aston Villa are not quite confident at the moment. A few mistakes here was really costing them. Martinez spilled it straight out to Salah. And right at the end, Trent Alexander-Arnold, just the closing down. I know it's late on in the game. The closing down was to be desired. And if they just closed down more intensely, I think they would have stopped that goal from happening. And that would have been a point for them, which would have been a good point. But yeah, it's without their talisman, it is a struggle. It is an uphill battle.
Manchester City. I think if there was ever a result that kind of shaped up what frustrates some City fans, I think that was it. Because we've seen it time and time again with City where they dominate possession, they dominate the amount of shots had, but they still end up losing or drawing. And that's exactly what happened against Leeds. Although it wasn't your typical Manchester City loss, because usually City are kind of knocking on the door. But I have to say, I think Bielsa deserves a bit of credit with this one. I think he got one over on Guardiola, even though Guardiola tried so hard to change the system throughout the game, change formation, and with the subs he made, he tried to change the system to try and get an advantage, but they just weren't able to break him down. Very frustrating game for City.
Score prediction, who are you going for?
I see revenge happening. I really will hope Grealish is back, but his injury's been set back a little bit, but I'm going for 3-1 City.
Yep, simple. I'm going 3-1 City too with this one.
So the final game of the game week is Leicester City versus West Brom. And for Leicester City, don't do this. Don't do this because, and you know what I'm going to say, because it's frustrating to see because they have played really well for quite a large chunk of the season. And if they threw away Champions League again, I think it'd be absolutely devastating to the team, to the manager, to the fans. I think just throughout that whole club, it'd be absolutely devastating. So don't do it because they've now lost 2 in a row. And, you know, in this crazy season, they could be knocked out of those Champions League places. And in that game against West Ham, I mean, you know, the West Ham just come out of the blocks so quick. You know, Leicester, I don't think they knew what to do, and they were able to drag themselves back into it. And Iheanacho has been absolutely on fire. He scored one of the goals was absolutely brilliant, and they just weren't able to find that final goal to at least get a point. So you have to remember, West Ham are their direct competitors for Champions League football, but they weren't able to find that goal.
As for West Brom, well, look at what we got here. Sam Allardyce, man, I don't know, like that little bit of belief, he can wield that belief and he can turn it into something. Maybe at the end of the Premier League, if they survive, they'll look at that Chelsea result and that will be like the catalyst of it all. And I said, win 2 games in a row and they're right back in it. And I still firmly believe that gives you the belief they can get 3rd. Don't worry about Newcastle and Brighton picking up points. You focus on yourself. You've got two of those wins back to back. One against a very good team in Chelsea. So you should have all the belief that you can inflict some serious damage to every single team coming up. So, and that's going to start with Leicester. And, you know, I think they can still claw a result. It doesn't have to be a win, but it can be a draw. And I think they're going to do it.
Okay, put your money where your mouth is. What's your prediction?
I'm going 1-1 here. I'm going 1-1.
You know what? I think you've convinced me. I'm going 2-2. I felt that was very convincing. I would have gone for a Leicester win. You know, at home.
Leicester, they're not looking too confident at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going 2-2.
And that is all for game week 32. Get all your comments in, get your predictions in, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, see you next week.